Thank the gentleman. I will now turn to Representative Napolitano.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Secretary, thank you for announcing the funding opportunity for the Railroad Crossing Elimination Program. Funding is incredibly important to my district, and the money for the Great Separations is significant, but just as significant is the effective coordination between government sponsors and the private railroad companies who can hold up these projects with excessive requirements, unnecessary private railroad improvements on taxpayer dime, and delays. How is the department ensuring that railroad companies and all stakeholders are effective partners to quickly implement railroad grade separation projects? Secondly, I greatly appreciate the administration's Justice 40 initiative that directs 40% of federal funds to disadvantaged communities. Is the Justice 40 initiative being implemented for all your grant programs, and in particular, your Transit Capital Investment Grant Program? And one more question, and very proud to have Foothill Transit in my district, leading the nation for more than a decade in electric and fuel zero emissions buses, and has invited you to visit the facilities. I extended the invitation to you personally in the letter that I just handed you. Since zero emissions buses are new technology, how is FTA working with experienced agencies like Foothill Transit to ensure information and best practices are shared amongst transit agencies as they receive infrastructure law funding for zero-emission buses?
Thank you. I'll try to, let me try to take those in reverse order. So with regard to the zero-emission buses, we recognize there are a lot of agencies like Foothill Transit that already have quite a bit of expertise in this regard, and we want to make sure that that's taken on board. So FTA is doing a lot of convening through efforts like the Transit Vehicle Innovation Deployment Centers Initiative to try to bring the different players together. And actually, I believe Foothill Transit was among the agencies on an advisory panel in a position to share their expertise on this, because we do need to make sure that more agencies understand and are equipped to take advantage of the funding and to make these clean vehicle deployments that are going to be so important for their future. With regard to Justice 40, I can tell you that the entire $20 billion per year programming of the FTA supports equity in transportation. And this can take different forms, and I think the formal criteria and guidance related to Justice 40 is still being framed up at the interagency level, but we're certainly not waiting to take actions that are going to meet those goals, knowing that so many of the communities that are overburdened and underserved are also those that stand to gain the most from having excellent, convenient, accessible, and clean transportation brought to them, and the economic opportunity that comes with it. And then on the rail grade crossings, this is an issue that we're hearing about from communities in every part of the country of every size. And we consider it very important, not only from a safety perspective, of course, but also as we discuss issues like more fluid movement of goods and cargo. This is certainly a concern because those at-grade crossings are associated with slow orders and other measures for safety purposes that wind up impacting the fluidity of the overall system. So we're very pleased to have now the dedicated railroad crossing elimination program, in addition to other rail funding like CRISI that can help in this regard. And FRA is very actively engaging all of the different players, communities, railroads, and any other interested stakeholders on how to make sure that, that this can be effectively used. It can be challenging because sometimes there is an infrastructure owner that is different than the project sponsor. You imagine a city coming to the table, wanting to get rid of an at-grade crossing, needing to engage with a railroad that actually has the asset. And so we're doing what we can to try to make sure that there's the right communication so that these applicants can be successful.
Thank you very much. The fact that the railroads have been good partners in my area, but they still don't provide the funding necessary to complete the project, or at least be a partner with the state and the Fed. And then on the grant program, how about the Transit Capital Investment Grant Program?
Sorry, what about the capital investment?
That was on the Justice 40.
Yes, so I can tell you that the whole intent of the transit programming writ large is, of course, to connect people to opportunity and to where they need to be. And the kinds of communities that Justice 40 is looking at are often those that stand to gain a great deal by the work that's being done in CIG. And so again, what I would emphasize is, even in those areas that may or may not fit the formal or technical definition of Justice 40, they will already, certainly CIG will already have criteria that are relevant to the spirit of that program.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlelady. Now, Representative Webster.